I'm back here in Somerset West in the Western Cape, and what brings me back down here is this motorcycle museum. I've brought you 2 or 3 episodes as it was being built, this museum. I showed you the collection, the inside story of it, and I promised you when it's officially open I would come down and do another episode. Now, they haven't had an official opening as such, just a soft opening, but the museum is open and it's known as the Helderberg Motorcycle Museum. Absolutely brilliant and exquisite. Even the food, the restaurant's open, the food is great. It is a must destination. Just as an example, in the 20s and 30s and 1940s, the most motorcycle manufacturers in the world came out of Italy. You had Motobi, Benelli, Gilera, Mondial, Ducati, Moto Guzzi, all those brands. And Dave has at least 1 or more examples of each brand. The British, whether it's Panther, BSA, Royal Enfield, Norton, he has one of each of those too. He has German motorbikes and scooters, Russian motorbikes and scooters. There's Spanish. There's something for everyone here, and it's really a tour, the history of motorcycles, a tour through the past. And whether it's petrol pumps, enamel signs, pylons, all the paraphernalia, it's like Aladdin's Cave. And every time you come and visit, there's something else you will find. I mean, I've been here a few times now, and every time I pop in, I see something new. It is a must destination, and remember, there's not one double of anything. One man's dream, one man's collection. And let's jump right inside. As you see people are arriving, let's go right inside and let me show you what's to see in this museum. As we walk to the entrance of the museum, you can clearly see outside on the veranda you have the table and chairs, and you've also got the brackets on the wall where you can store your helmet and your jacket, so you don't have to lug it around as you walk through the museum. Now here, as we enter, you have the Vintage Bike Cafe Cape Town. Yes, the restaurant's open, the food is brilliant, absolutely, I can recommend it. Here's the entrance into the museum, and as we turn around, yes, I'm very proud, up there is one of my drawings. Very cool. As we enter, you can see a journey through motorcycle history. That's the theme of this Helderberg Motorcycle Museum. And as we enter, you can just see full of bikes, all the colors, the paraphernalia from enamel signs all around. Look at all the illuminated signs, neon signs, everything, modern bikes, vintage bikes, absolutely exciting. Here, starting off with something weird and wonderful, Francis Barnett, founded in 1919 all the way to 1966. Going along, you've got Hondas. Here you've got some older bikes. There is a DKW, BMW, looks like an R50. I mean, I cannot even mention all the bikes as we go along. 2 MV Augustas. And over here you have a Cucciolo, very famous. Cucciolo stands for puppy in Italian. That's where Ducati started the motorcycle, a bicycle with a little motor in it. And then you have a range of small bore Ducatis through the ages, Ducati Meccanica, Ducati 96. You go for Gabbiano on the side, and going along here as you go through and you will see Moto Guzzi's, a military Moto Guzzi bike here, unrestored. Moto Guzzi through the ages here. This one is quite interesting because the valves sit outside of the cylinder heads. Very cool to see. As you know, something is Stornello 125, there's Zigalos 90 and 110s. And as you go along, some more Moto Guzzis through the ages. This green one, very interesting, is the Air Mackie of Harley Davidson, when Harley Davidson bought 50% of the Air Mackie company. Here are some logos, the Cucciolo, the Ducati 60. You can see the logos as they change through the decades. Ducati Meccanica, And really fantastic, here's another Cappiano, also from Bologna, Moto Guzzi logos as they were through the ages. As we carry on, there's some more weird and wonderful bikes like a Maival, an Italian motorcycle, next up a Benelli, then you have a Voskhod, and I did an episode on a Voskhod Boxer because I have one of those in my collection as well. Next up is a Hornet, as you go along, Leverders, and that light green one is something that got my attention, something really different and cool. Have you ever seen a little deer on a front mudguard like that? That is a Caperoni Trento. You have to excuse some of my pronunciation because I don't know all these makes and brands, haven't seen all of them. Carrying on, you got mopeds and scooters. This is a German Heinkel, and you go along and you will find another Emaki. As I said earlier, that is the Italian brand of Harley Davidson. Here's a Troll one, which is another Russian scooter, something I've never seen before. Carrying on, you have like James, you have MV Augusta, and this yellow and black one is also something I've never seen before. The brand is actually, it's a Bella scooter. Absolutely stunning. As you go through, you'll see brands like Carilla. The red one next to that is a Puch, and that light green one is a Hobby by the Auto Union brand BKW. Vespa up next. All these wonderful brands in that, Ducati Brio and a Lambretta. Here we see some of the logos of Maival, Benelli, Hornet, and as the bikes we went through, Leverder, Heinkel, Emaki scooter, JSO Troll, the Russian one, James, MV Augusta. Fantastic brands, Lambrettas, that all represented, and again, no duplicates, no doubles. Next up here we have the BSA motorcycles, Dave's cycle shop. Quite interesting because Dave Neto is the owner. Starting off with BSAs, this is the British line. Some BSAs as we go along, mint, some restored, some unrestored through the ages as we go. Old school, you can see the tanks change here. You have a woven basket. As you go along, you can see the next one has like a round fuel tank, Springer front end. This must be 20s or 30s. AJS up next. Then at the bottom you have the Corgi Paratrooper bike, and I have done a story here on the forerunner of that, which is the Well bike, which is the Paratrooper bike which gets thrown down to earth. Next is the Norton, and they have won many Isle of Man victories. Very, very famous British brand. Also represented here, Royal Enfields. There are two of those in the line. And as you go along, that red and silver one is a Panther, also super interesting with a forward-leaning piston. Up next you have Aerials, and this particular one is very interesting. You can see it's 1955 Ariel 1000cc SQ4, and that SQ4 stands for square 4. That motor is a square 4 motor. If you look, two header pipes out of that side, and on the other side two header pipes coming out as well. Very interesting design. I haven't seen any other motors that is square 4 like that. Carrying on, some more Aerials as we go along. 1951 Aerials, and here you have some Gileros, two of them, the red ones, and finishing that line off, that Matchless, the black one, and then two Triumphs. And again, having a look at some of the logos as they change through the decades. BSA logos early, and as they change and how it comes from the British Arms Company, the AJS logos through the ages, Norton logo as it was. Here you have the Royal Enfield, the Panther logo with a forward-leaning engine, Aerial, Matchless, and absolutely stunning Triumph. Now for some totally different, here we have a Detroit chopper, something modern, something American, very different and super cool looking in this museum. Now if you look in the back corner, that's where we went past. We have the Air Mackeys, the two old Harley Davidson, and there's the ice cream service vehicle, which we'll look at in more detail just now. Here we have a 90s Ducati 900, then the 996 Ducati, very iconic, derived off the 916, a very rare in South Africa 999 Nero, the black. Next up is a Moto Guzzi 1000cc, and behind that is the iconic KTM RC8. KTM's first foray into superbikes. Next up, the iconic Honda RC51, also known as the VTR 1000, and this is in the Nicky Hayden colors. This RC51 has won everything from 2 World Superbike titles, Joey Dunlop, Isle of Man, and even the American AMA with Nicky Hayden. Next up, Suzuki GSX 1000. This blue one is the Honda Blackbird. This started the horsepower race with the Hayabusa and that to follow. Next up, Aprilia Tuono and a Kawasaki at the end of this line. Now here we have some really interesting vehicles. They're motorbikes known as service vehicles. This particular one is a Royal Enfield. It was found here in Cape Town, and as far as they know, this is one of 5 existing in the world. They took off photographic records where they have this in Johannesburg, the same font, and just replicated the one where there's a photographic record of one in South Africa, Royal Enfield service vehicle. Here you have an ice cream motorcycle service vehicle, and interestingly enough, this is a Harley Davidson. So motorbike, service vehicle, ice cream, van, motorcycle. Super cool. Where do you find something like this? If you pull the string, you can see all the bells in the row, they ring simultaneously. I don't think I'm supposed to touch and pull, but you know, it's one of those you can't resist. Next up, excuse my pronunciation, it's a Monet and Coyon, a French bike. Very cool. The seating arrangement, one behind the other, front and back. The oil cans stored in front, super cool. And up front on the front forks, if you look carefully, there is that tire pump, like a bicycle pump attached to the front forks. And last in this line of service vehicles is a Lambretta service vehicles. Here you can see Lambretta, absolutely stunningly restored by Dave himself, and how appropriately a service vehicle with a keg on the back being in the Winelands here in Somerset West Cape Town. Here next up are the helmets. Really cool addition as well, because you can see the evolution from pudding helmets, aluminium helmets with cork lining. Here's a sheriff helmet at the beginning, and you can see as they evolved with goggles and bubble screens and visors. Also oil cans through the ages. There's old logos of brands and extinct companies. Here you have oil in glass bottles as they were served on the rack, and it's just absolutely stunning. You can see the logos as they have evolved through the years. Also brands that don't exist anymore like Esso and so on. Also petrol pumps through the ages and decades as they've evolved. Brands from all over the world, not just South Africa. Some of these petrol pumps we actually have never had in South Africa. Here's a Chariot pump that you used to wheel out of your store before the days of having a dedicated fuel station. Here's more from the 80s, a more modern one. Esso, that brand doesn't exist in South Africa either anymore. And you can see from short Buddha type to these tall 3.5 meter tall petrol pumps from the 40s and 50s. This is another brand and type of pump I've never seen in South Africa. Pylons as well, everything is represented here. Here's an interesting brand, Track. This was a South African brand. That zebra is actually the extinct now Quagga, and the illuminated wall sign on the side, the pylon, everything. Here's a Celtics pylon, Ruskamer restroom, it's Afrikaans, a real old school South African pylon. Here you can see the different brand and the Shell logo as it's evolved. Pegasus, again the uplighters, the illumination, everything is working. Stunning, stunning. Here the ceiling fans I've showed in the episode before, they used windmills. Dave's attention to detail is exquisite. There are 3 of those fans like a windmill with tail fins, and the ventilation is brilliant. The sound in the whole museum is fantastic. But going upstairs to continue, let's have a look what's up here. It's a sea full of small ball bikes, colors, Italian brands, Japanese, French, they're all represented up here. Starting off here, you have a Gilera, a 50cc, and stunningly restored once again by Dave himself. Exquisite work, and the shape and design, I've never seen these bikes here in South Africa, and I think he imports some of them as restoration projects from Italy. Here you have a Mondial, as you can see, Super cool, classical colors, classical lines, cafe races from the 50s and so on. Stunning pieces and real journey through motorcycle history. In this corner, some unrestored, some restored. You have DKWs, you have Motor Guzzi's as you go along. Velo Solex, these two are super interesting. Velo Solex, that particular one unrestored, the motor drives the front wheel. Super interesting once again. Hercules as we go along, and that red and black one is a Bianchi, and Itom or Item, and in the corner you have the Montesa trial bikes. As we turn the corner here, you have a NSU Neckars Ulm, an old German brand that it doesn't exist anymore. You have a Romeo, this green one over here. You have a Gilera, you have Betas, you've got Moto Morinis, Motobis as you go along, Benellis, Motobis, NSUs, Betas, and Chimatis. Here again are the logos of the bikes we just saw, the brands, and absolutely stunning and exquisite. Some of them are mint restored, some of them are in their original patina, but just all round stunning. Now here we look at some vintage bicycles, also very interesting because this is where motorcycles started, and that orange one on the wall is a fold-up motorcycle. Now here you can see very early bicycle, and interestingly enough, that front rim is a wooden rim with metal spokes. Old vintage bicycle, and as you can see, that motor is like externally mounted, driving the rear wheel with wooden rims. Absolutely another thing I've never seen before. Here you have the Yamaha DT50s, liquid cooled from the 80s, where I started my motorcycle journey on. Stunning Suzuki's. These are the schoolboy bikes from the 80s and early 90s as we go along. You have Suzuki's, you have the MR50s, you have the MT5 Hondas, the MB8s, and Yamaha RZ50, that Kenny Roberts colors. I know him as red and white and red and blue. Also the first bike I ever crashed. Here we go along, we've got some Hondas and a Peugeot, the blue one, and some more Hondas, and this yellow one is another item with that little bubble fairing on, looks very racy. Another two items here, Minarelli, that's a race bike, no lights, and you have Ducati 48s, 38s, and some more mopeds as you go along, and a Beta, Gilera, Moto Guzzi, and another Gilera. Absolutely stunning, the brands represented here, no doubles once again. All round just a journey. You can spend hours looking at the individual models and bike. The one thing they still have to do in this museum is label all the bikes and give you some more specs. That is in the process, as they told me, but all round stunning. You can spend hours going through and googling what they are. There's also some people that can help you and talk you through it. Here at the bottom, some other interesting things. That blue one in the corner is a Motobi or Benelli pocket bike, and the Benelli Scrambler. I hope I could show you just what this museum is all about and the passion of Dave that he put into this place. I mean, if you've got younger kids and you can show them the journey of motorcycles, if you're a little bit older and you can remember some of these things. I brought my dad along, and there's motorcycles in here that he used to run from Germany to Switzerland, some of the scooters back in the day. It's really, for young and old, something awesome to look at. It's a fantastic museum, and you can definitely see Dave's passion and his attention to detail in this place. So Helderberg Motorcycle Museum gets a huge thumbs up from me. I think it is world class. The food is fantastic. A definite stop should you ever be in the Western Cape. Guys, I hope you enjoyed this episode with me. If you did, as always, please hit that like button, give me a thumbs up, and most important of all, please guys, remember, hit that subscribe button to help me build the channel, and if you like, the reminder bell so you always know when I'm uploading something new.